So this video is going to talk about solving for a variable in terms of other variables, and it's the first in a series of videos that talks about this, and in this video we're going to use addition or subtraction. Other videos will talk about other ways to solve for a variable. And so we're talking about things that kind of look like the following. So for instance, solve for y. And they give us, maybe the first one looks like y minus 10 equals x. And so if you look at this equation here, it's a little different than the equations we've been using because there's two variables. There's a y and there's also an x. And so we're used to solving equations where there's only one variable. And so basically it's going to be the same thing. If this over here happened to be like the number 7 and I said solve for y, I want you to think about what you would do first. So hopefully you would say, oh, I'd add this 10 to both sides. So we're going to do that exact same thing here, even though we happen to have an x and not a y. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. And when I do that, these are going to cancel out. So on the left-hand side, I'm just going to be left with y. And then on the right-hand side, I have an x and a 10. And so those are not like terms. I cannot actually put them together. There's nothing I can do besides write both of them down. So we're going to have x plus 10. And you'll notice I now have the variable y, the one I was looking for, all by itself. And that's what the goal was. So we'll do a couple more examples. Oops, let me get my pencil here. So how about this one? X equals y minus or plus 6. So again, we're trying to get the variable y all by itself. The thing I want to look at is this side here. What's happening with the y is we're adding 6, so I want to do the opposite of that. And the opposite of adding 6 would be subtracting 6. So if I subtract 6 from both sides. So again, on this side, the positive 6 and the minus 6 would cancel each other out. And on the right-hand side, I'd be left with y. And over here again on the left-hand side, x and minus 6 are not like terms. So I can't put them together, so all I can do is write x minus 6. And that's your final answer. Just like over here, this was our final answer. I should have boxed it, but I didn't. So if we try another one, so maybe we have x plus y equals z. And so if you look at this problem, I don't have any numbers, but that's okay. It doesn't work any differently. So again, we want to think about what variable is it that we're trying to get all by itself. And so in these directions, we're still going with solve for y. So that's this variable here. That's the one I want to get all by itself. And so what I want to do is I want to look and say, well, what else is happening along with y? Oh, x. And I'm adding x to y, so I want to do that opposite. Since I had a positive x, I want to subtract x from both sides. So again, the positive x and the minus x would cancel each other out. And I'm going to be left just with y on the right-hand side, or left-hand side. And then if you look, here I have z and I have minus x. So they are not like terms. They're not the same variable, so I cannot put them together. So all I'm going to write is z minus x. And otherwise, these work pretty much exactly the same as solving an equation when we only had one variable.